The Orion sector was a quiet stretch of space. For centuries, the Empire had ruled it without challenge. Trade ships moved under heavy escorts, mining colonies worked day and night, and Imperial garrisons stood ready in every system. Nothing unusual ever happened there. Life in the Empire followed rules, and rules gave comfort. But that changed when the listening post on the frozen moon of Draylen detected something strange. The post was manned by only a few officers. Most of the time, their work was boring, checking for smuggler signals, monitoring pirate traffic, and sending daily reports to command. When the strange reading first appeared, Lieutenant Varen thought it was a sensor glitch. "Check again," he told the technician. "The numbers don't make sense." The technician ran the scans twice, then a third time. The result was the same. An object had entered the edge of Imperial space, but its speed was far beyond anything in the records. Not just a little faster, impossibly faster. Varen felt his throat go dry. "Report to command immediately." The report traveled quickly through secure channels, and within minutes the Imperial fleet in the sector was alerted. Aboard the flagship Relentless Dawn, Admiral Tavor read the incoming message with sharp eyes. The Admiral was a seasoned officer, respected and feared in equal measure. He had commanded victories against rebels, pirates, and even rival empires. He trusted his instincts, and right now his instincts told him this was not a mistake. "Show me the data," he ordered. The display came alive. The numbers scrolled across the screen, each one confirming the impossible. The object was moving faster than any known vessel. Not only that, it was stable, controlled, and headed directly toward the inner systems. The bridge crew shifted uneasily. No one spoke. Finally, the Admiral broke the silence. "This is no smuggler ship," he said. "This is something else." Speculation spread quickly through the fleet. Some thought it might be a new type of pirate craft, though none could explain the speed. Others whispered of forgotten alien technology, a relic of an older age. A few dared to mention humans. Humans were known to the Empire, of course. They were a stubborn race recently uplifted to interstellar travel. They had colonies, fleets, and small alliances, but they were not seen as a threat, at least not until now. The idea that the signal might belong to a human ship made many officers laugh nervously. Humans were clever, yes, but their technology was decades behind Imperial standards. They were known for their boldness, not their science. Still, the thought refused to go away. On the Relentless Dawn, Admiral Tavor stood at the central viewing window. The stars stretched endlessly before him, silent and eternal. He wondered if he was staring at the dawn of something dangerous. "Admiral," his first officer said carefully, "if the object continues at its present speed, it will arrive in less than 2 days." "Then we will meet it," Tavor replied. "Send word to all ships. Prepare interception protocols." The order rippled through the Empire's forces. Battle cruisers adjusted their courses, destroyers regrouped, and fighter squadrons ran endless drills. Everyone felt the weight of expectation. Something was coming, and none of them knew what. On the small moon of Draylen, Lieutenant Varen could not sleep. He kept replaying the scans in his mind. It was not just speed that unsettled him. The energy readings were strange too. The object gave off no standard signal of a warp drive, no known engine patterns. It seemed to bend the very fabric of space, sliding through it like water. Varen wondered if the Empire was ready. He had studied human reports before, stories of their strange inventions, their unpredictable leaps in knowledge. Humans had a habit of ignoring the so-called limits of science. They did not follow the rules like other species did. Could this be another of their sudden leaps? Meanwhile, rumors spread across the sector. Traders spoke of a ghost ship that outran patrols. Miners in remote stations claimed to see lights moving faster than thought. Civilian channels carried half-truths and wild theories, but one word kept appearing again and again: Terrans. On colonies across the Empire, ordinary people began to whisper. Could it be that humanity had built something new, something that even the mighty Empire could not match? Admiral Tavor listened to the whispers among his crew. He allowed them to talk, but he made his own decision quietly. Underestimate no one, he told his officers, especially humans. The fleet prepared in silence. Ships floated like dark giants in the void, their weapons armed, their shields strong. But unease settled over them like a shadow. They had fought many enemies before, yet this felt different. This felt unknown. Finally, as the second day drew to a close, the object entered range of long-distance sensors. The readings came in sharp and clear now, and there was no room for doubt. The ship was small compared to Imperial cruisers, but its design was strange. Its structure was efficient, sharp, almost aggressive in shape. Most disturbing of all was its speed. Even as it slowed to real space, it moved with a grace no one had seen before. The bridge of the relentless dawn fell silent as the image appeared on their screens. For a moment, no one knew what to say. "That's no ship we know," the first officer whispered. "It's too fast." Admiral Tavor stood tall, his face calm though his thoughts raced. He saw fear in the eyes of his crew, and he knew why. This was not just another vessel. This was something that challenged the order of the galaxy. He turned to his officers. "Send out the fighters. We will test it." The order was given, and squadrons of Imperial fighters launched into the void. They moved with speed and discipline, forming attack patterns ready to surround the unknown craft. But even as they drew close, the mysterious ship shifted. It moved between them like a predator among prey, slipping past every maneuver. The Imperial pilots struggled to keep up, their voices filling the comm channels with confusion. "It's moving too fast," one cried. "I can't lock on," shouted another. Admiral Tavor narrowed his eyes. He felt a strange chill, as if the universe itself was changing before his eyes. This was no accident. This was no trick of sensors. The ship was real, and it was powerful. And for the first time in many years, the Empire felt the touch of fear. The unknown vessel slowed just enough to let itself be seen. Its hull reflected the starlight, sharp and silver, its engines glowing with an energy no one recognized. Then, to the shock of every Imperial officer watching, it broadcast a message. The voice was clear, firm, and in perfect Imperial common. "We are Terrans. Stand aside." The bridge froze. Every officer stared at the screen, disbelief in their eyes. The whispers of humans were no longer rumors. They were here, and they had changed the rules of the game. The Imperial fleet gathered like a wall of iron in the dark. Battle cruisers, destroyers, and fighter wings formed a wide net, stretching across the sector. Each captain reported readiness. Shields were up, weapons charged, and orders were clear. Intercept the unknown vessel. Admiral Tavor stood on the command deck of the Relentless Dawn, his eyes fixed on the star-filled screen. The mysterious ship was approaching, smaller than most cruisers but moving with such elegance that even the most disciplined officers felt uneasy. "They're not slowing." "Admiral," reported the sensor officer. Tavor nodded slowly. "Then they want to be seen. Open a visual feed." The image appeared, sharp and impossible to ignore. The ship was unlike any known design. It was smaller than a frigate, yet its structure looked strong, built for speed and precision. Its hull gleamed silver with black streaks shaped almost like a blade. The engines pulsed with energy unlike any the Empire had charted, glowing in a steady rhythm that made the ship appear alive. A whisper passed through the bridge crew. It was beautiful, but dangerous. "Launch the interceptors," Tavor ordered. Dozens of fighters shot forward, streaks of light against the black void. They formed attack wings circling the mysterious craft. The pilots were skilled, trained to hunt pirates and rebels with ruthless efficiency. "Target locked," one pilot reported. "Moving to engage," said another. The fighters dove in, perfect unison, but the unknown ship moved before they could close the distance. It shifted sideways, faster than thought, sliding between the fighters with impossible precision. Weapons locked on, but the craft twisted, spun, and escaped every targeting attempt. The comm channels filled with voices. "It's gone." "It vanished off my scope." "Wait, it's behind me." "I can't keep up, it's too fast." "Is this even possible?" The fighters broke formation, struggling to regroup. Their prey was not only quick, but seemed to predict their every move. Admiral Tavor's eyes narrowed. He had fought many battles, but he had never seen a ship move like this. It was not only fast, it was smart. "Hold fire," he commanded. "I want to see what it can do." The unknown vessel slowed slightly, hovering in front of the fleet as if mocking them. Then it released a burst of energy, not a weapon but a wave of electromagnetic force. One of the destroyers shuddered. Its lights flickered, its engines went dark, and it drifted helplessly. The crew scrambled to restore power, but the damage was already done. The Relentless Dawn's bridge fell silent. "They disabled a destroyer," whispered the first officer, "and they didn't even fire a shot." The crew shifted uncomfortably. For the Empire, losing a destroyer without a fight was unthinkable. It was more than defeat, it was humiliation. Admiral Tavor kept his face calm. "They are showing us what they can do." Nothing more. If they wanted, they could have destroyed that ship. The officers exchanged nervous looks. It was true. The mysterious vessel had acted with precision, almost mercy. Then, without warning, the ship broadcast a message. The voice was calm, steady, and unmistakably human. "We are Terrans. Stand aside." The words echoed through every channel. On the relentless dawn, no one moved. The bridge crew looked at their admiral, waiting for his response. Tavor's expression hardened. So it is true. Humanity has built something new. He thought of the reports over the years, stories of human scientists working on projects no one believed possible, of experimental drives and strange weapons tested in hidden labs. Most had been dismissed as rumors. But now, staring at this ship, the rumors felt very real. "Admiral," said his first officer carefully, "what are your orders?" "Hold formation. Do not fire. Let us see how far they will go." Across the fleet, tension grew. Crews watched their screens in silence, feeling small before the single Terran vessel. Pilots gripped their controls, itching to fight but afraid of the outcome. Some officers whispered that humanity had found ancient technology, something left behind by forgotten civilizations. Others believed humans had simply invented it on their own. Both ideas were terrifying. For centuries, the Empire had been the standard of power. Their ships were the strongest, their fleets the largest, their science unmatched. But now, one human ship was enough to shake their confidence. The Terran vessel moved again. This time it passed between two cruisers, slipping through their crossfire range with ease. Its engines glowed brighter, leaving trails of light that shimmered in the void. Imperial gunners tried to lock on, but their targeting systems lagged behind. By the time they fired, the ship was gone, already on the other side. "It's like it knows what we're about to do before we do it," one officer muttered. Admiral Tavor said nothing. He was studying the ship carefully. He could feel the fear rising among his officers, but he refused to show it himself. The humans were making a statement. This was not a random encounter. They had come prepared. In the mess halls of the fleet, whispers grew louder. Sailors asked each other the same questions. How could humans build this? Why reveal it now? What do they want? Some felt anger, others awe. A few even felt pride for the humans, though they dared not say it aloud. The name Terrans carried a weight it had never carried before. Back on the bridge, the ship sent a second message. "We do not wish to fight, but if you stand in our way, you will lose." The words were simple, but they carried power. No arrogance, no shouting, just certainty. The Empire was not used to being spoken to this way. Normally, enemies begged, threatened, or screamed. The Terrans spoke as if they were stating fact. Admiral Tavor considered his choices. He could order an attack, but the outcome was unclear. The Terran ship had already proven its ability. He could also stand aside, but that would mean letting the humans pass without resistance, a decision that might shake the Empire itself. His officers waited, eyes fixed on him. The bridge felt heavy with silence. Finally, Tavor spoke. "Signal to all ships. Maintain distance. Do not engage unless fired upon." The order spread quickly. Across the fleet, weapons powered down. Fighters pulled back. The tension did not vanish, but it lessened slightly. On the screen, the Terran vessel slowed again, as if acknowledging the decision. Then, with a sudden burst of light, it moved past the Imperial line, heading deeper into the sector. The Empire had not stopped it. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the first officer whispered the words many were thinking. "That's no ship we know, and it's too fast." Admiral Tavor turned away from the screen. His jaw tightened. "Then we must learn what it is, and why the humans have built it." He knew one thing with certainty. This encounter was only the beginning. Somewhere in the shadows of space, humanity had taken a step forward. And the Empire, for the first time in centuries, was on the defensive. The Terran ship was not just a vessel. It was a message, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Terran ship had vanished into the depths of the sector, leaving only silence in its wake. For the mighty Empire, silence was more dangerous than explosions. Fleets were built to fight, not to sit and wonder. And now, every captain, every officer, and every sailor aboard the Imperial Armada carried the same question. What had they just witnessed? On the bridge of the relentless dawn, Admiral Tavor paced slowly, his hands folded behind his back. His crew worked quietly, afraid to break the heavy air. The destroyer that had been disabled still drifted nearby, its engineers struggling to restore full power. That single act had humiliated the Empire. Not destroyed, humiliated. The Terrans had shown control, not rage. Power, not recklessness. The Admiral stopped at the central window and stared at the stars. They looked the same as they always did. Calm, endless, eternal. But the balance of power beneath them had shifted. He could feel it. "Admiral," said his first officer, breaking the silence. "Reports from the outer systems are coming in. Colonists are talking about the Terran ship. Traders claim it outran entire squadrons. Civilian channels are calling it a ghost." Tavor's eyes narrowed. "And what does the High Command say?" The officer hesitated. "They want answers. They demand we capture the ship or destroy it. They refuse to believe humans could build such a craft." The Admiral gave a dry laugh. "Refusal to believe will not change the truth. We saw it with our own eyes." In the lower decks, among the ordinary crew, fear spread faster than any order. Sailors whispered in corners. Pilots replayed recordings of the Terran ship's maneuvers, and engineers argued over how such technology could exist. Some said the humans had found alien relics. Others claimed they had broken the laws of physics themselves. A few simply shook their heads and said, "Humans are unpredictable. They always do the impossible." News traveled quickly across the Empire. On distant colonies, families gathered around screens to watch shaky footage of the mysterious ship. The people who had once laughed at human boldness now whispered in awe. Terrans, they said. They told the Empire to stand aside. And the Empire did. It was a small detail, but it meant everything. The Empire, proud and mighty, had been forced to let one human vessel pass without resistance. That image spread across worlds like fire. Back on the relentless dawn, Admiral Tavor held a meeting with his senior officers. The mood was heavy, the table lined with tense faces. "They humiliated us," one captain spat. "A single ship disabled a destroyer. If word spreads too far, our authority will crumble." Another officer disagreed. "No, they were merciful. They could have destroyed us all. They wanted us to see their strength without death." "Mercy?" the captain barked. "You call that mercy?" "That was a warning." The room erupted in arguments until Tavor raised his hand for silence. "You are all correct," he said calmly. "It was both mercy and warning. That is what makes it so dangerous. The Terrans are not reckless fools. They are confident. They know what they have built." He let his words sink in before continuing. "We must understand their purpose. They did not attack us. They did not demand territory. They are after something. Until we know what, we are blind." Meanwhile, across the Empire's military networks, panic took new forms. Analysts pored over every scrap of data, trying to decode the Terran technology. The results were unsettling. Energy readings suggested an engine system beyond warp drives. Some scientists claimed it was folding space. Others said it was creating controlled gravity wells. Whatever it was, the Empire had no countermeasure. Worse still, the ship's hull showed signs of advanced material, light yet stronger than any alloy known to the Empire. Attempts to replicate even fragments of the data led to frustration. The truth became undeniable. The Terrans had leapt ahead. High Command, however, was not calm. In the Grand Council chambers of the Imperial capital, admirals and governors argued fiercely. "Humanity must be stopped before their technology spreads," one declared. "They are nothing compared to our fleets," said another. "We will crush them if they resist." "But what if one ship is already stronger than a fleet?" whispered a third. For the first time in living memory, the Empire did not speak with a single voice. Back in the fleet, the psychological effect deepened. The Empire's officers were trained to believe in their superiority, but now doubt crept into every corner. Pilots who once boasted of their skills now admitted the Terran ship had moved like no enemy before. Engineers who had faith in Imperial science now questioned its limits. And the ordinary sailors, those who had seen the ship glide, past them like a predator, carried the memory like a weight in their chests. Admiral Tavor felt the shift in his people. He knew fear when he saw it. But more than fear, he saw something else: respect. Against their will, many of his crew admired the Terrans for what they had done. That thought disturbed him more than anything. If respect for the humans grew, the Empire's iron grip would weaken. He called his officers together once more. "We must learn quickly. If humanity has reached this level of power, the balance of the galaxy has changed. And if the Empire does not adapt, it will fall behind. The mystery deepened when spies returned from the frontier with fragments of information. Terran colonies were quiet, almost secretive. Factories worked day and night, but their outputs were hidden. Scientists disappeared from known academies, reappearing in unmarked stations. The conclusion was clear. Humanity had been preparing in silence. They planned this, Admiral Tivor said softly, reading the reports. They built their strength where no one was watching, and now they are ready to show it. Panic spread further when intercepted transmissions revealed more. The Terran vessel was not wandering aimlessly. It was on a mission. Its course was direct, cutting deep into a sector rumored to hold ancient ruins. Ruins the Empire itself had abandoned long ago as worthless. If the humans were going there, then perhaps those ruins were not worthless at all. The thought sent shivers through the admirals. What could humans want in forgotten ruins? What secret had they discovered? As hours passed, more fleets were mobilized. Messages spread across the stars, ordering ships to regroup and prepare to confront the Terrans. But beneath the official orders lay quiet doubt. Many commanders feared the same thing, that no number of ships would be enough. In the quiet of his quarters, Admiral Tivor allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. He thought of humanity, of their short but fierce history among the stars. They were stubborn, curious, and reckless, but above all, they were creative. He remembered a line he once heard from a Terran diplomat. Humans do not ask what is allowed. We ask what is possible. Now he understood what those words meant. In the following days, the Empire prepared to chase the Terran ship, but the fear remained. Soldiers sharpened their blades, pilots fueled their fighters, engineers checked their reactors. But none of them could erase the memory of that silver vessel moving like lightning, disabling a destroyer without effort. The Empire's strength was built on certainty, and the Terrans had stolen that certainty in a single encounter. As the Terran ship drew closer to its destination, the panic in the Empire reached its peak. Some commanders called for immediate war, others for caution. High Command argued but gave no clear answer. And across the galaxy, one truth spread from world to world. Humanity had changed. No longer the stubborn underdogs, no longer the curious newcomers. Humanity had built something beyond understanding, and the Empire, for the first time in centuries, did not know how to respond. The Terran ship moved silently through the void, threading between stars and asteroids as if space itself had bent to allow its passage. Its small size belied the magnitude of its mission. Though the Empire panicked in the sectors behind, the humans carried no malice, only purpose. Aboard the ship, Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning a holographic display of the sector ahead. Her crew moved with quiet efficiency, each one knowing the stakes. The ship's speed and agility were unmatched, but even so, they had to remain focused. One miscalculation could bring the Empire down upon them. "Ilara," said her first officer, Kale Wren, "we are approaching the coordinates. Sensors indicate the structure is still intact. There are energy readings consistent with ancient machinery." "Good," Ilara replied, her voice steady. "Keep shields at maximum. We don't know what we'll encounter, and the Empire is surely following at some distance." The Terrans had been secretive for a reason. Humanity had discovered something hidden deep within the sector, a relic from an age long before the Empire, technology so advanced that it could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Most civilizations had dismissed the sector as empty, but humans had searched where no one else dared. Meanwhile, across the Empire, the panic reached new heights. Reports from scouts and long-range sensors confirmed what everyone feared. The Terran ship was heading for the abandoned ruins near the edge of the sector. These ruins had once belonged to a civilization older than the Empire itself, left to decay after centuries of neglect. Imperial scientists had called them insignificant, forgotten relics of a lost time. Now, the Terran ship approached them with certainty, and the Empire realized too late that it might be guarding a secret beyond comprehension. High Command convened an emergency meeting. Holographic images of the sector appeared in the council chambers, showing the Terran vessel weaving through space with unmatched precision. Officers argued, some calling for immediate engagement, others for caution. Admiral Tivor listened in silence, absorbing every word. He knew that this was not a test of weapons, but of strategy, and human ingenuity. The humans are not coming here to fight, Tavor said finally. They have a goal. If we attack, we risk what they are protecting. We must understand their purpose before we act. Back on the Terran ship, sensors detected the first signs of the relic. The ancient machinery lay partially buried on a desolate planet, its structure immense and humming faintly with energy. It had been asleep for millennia, waiting for someone capable of understanding it. Alara studied the readings. This machine, it's older than the Empire, she whispered. And yet it's still active. Kale Ren nodded. We must proceed carefully. If the Empire interferes, this could become a war none of us can predict. The ship descended into orbit around the planet. Its sleek hull reflected the faint light of the distant star, moving like a predator preparing to strike, yet with no intent to harm. The Empire's observers watched nervously. Fleets hovered in the distance, unsure how to proceed. Some scientists tried to analyze the Terran technology, hoping to find weaknesses. Others argued that humanity's knowledge was already far beyond Imperial understanding. Every report only heightened the fear. Admiral Tavor realized something vital. Humanity did not act like other races. They did not seek conquest or domination. Their goal was discovery, protection, and progress. That difference made them unpredictable, and therefore dangerous. Aboard the Terran vessel, Alara issued precise orders. Drones were launched to survey the relic. The ancient structure was massive, covered in symbols that predated any known language. Energy pulses ran across its surface in patterns that resembled mathematical equations, yet seemed almost alive. It's as if the machine understands us, said one crew member. Alara frowned. It responds to intelligent input. That's why the Empire cannot touch it. They do not understand. But we do. The drones sent back images and readings confirming the machine's immense potential. It could manipulate gravity, energy, even the flow of time on a small scale. Humanity had recognized the danger it posed if it fell into the wrong hands. The Empire would use it for war. Humans had to ensure it remained protected. The Empire began to realize the Terran mission was not just about technology. It was about responsibility. The humans had built their ship not for battle, but to safeguard knowledge. High Command issued orders to intercept, but Admiral Tavor hesitated. He studied the reports, weighing options. Any attack could trigger disaster. Humans were capable of extraordinary innovation, and they had already demonstrated it. Perhaps we underestimate them, Tavor admitted to his officers. They do not act like others. They solve problems differently. If they have come this far in secret, imagine what they will do if challenged directly. The Terran ship finally arrived in orbit. Alara activated a shield around the drones, preventing any interference from Imperial sensors. The team moved with care, mapping the ancient machinery and sending detailed reports back to their command stations. The machine pulsed in response, as if acknowledging the humans' presence. It seemed to react to intention, not threat. Humans approached with respect, understanding that this relic was not just a tool, but a legacy of a civilization older than history itself. Kale Ren whispered, "It's waiting for someone worthy." Alara nodded. "And we are the first to find it in centuries. We must ensure it is protected." From the Empire's distant observation points, the actions of the Terrans seemed almost defiant. They were unarmed, precise, and deliberate. Yet the Empire's fleets felt powerless. For the first time, the soldiers realized that force alone could not dictate the outcome. Intelligence, ingenuity, and understanding were equally, if not more, important. Alara's crew continued their work. They discovered that the machine could enhance ships, multiply energy output, and even increase speed beyond known limits. Humans were not taking this for themselves. They were cataloging, protecting, and learning. One of the junior scientists spoke quietly. This could change everything. Alara placed a hand on the console. "It will," she said, "but only if it does not fall into the wrong hands." The Terran ship's mission was clear. The Empire must not possess this technology. Humanity's purpose was not conquest. It was responsibility, foresight, and protection. High Command debated for hours, growing more desperate. They considered sending fleets in despite the risk, believing they could force the humans to retreat. But each simulation ended in failure. The Terran ship moved faster than predicted, always one step ahead, and the humans' knowledge of the relic's location made interception nearly impossible. Admiral Tavor realized a harsh truth. They could not stop the humans without immense loss. And even then, the Terrans might prevail. He turned to his officers. The humans are no longer just survivors or pioneers, he said. They are guardians, and we must understand what we are dealing with before we act. In the orbiting Terran ship, Alara smiled faintly. Humanity had long been underestimated. Time and again, humans had faced challenges that seemed impossible, and each time they had risen. This mission was no different. She looked at her crew. We are not here to fight, she said. We are here to protect knowledge, and we will do it with intelligence, with caution, and with courage. That is who we are. Her words resonated through the ship. Every crew member knew the stakes. Every hand on every console understood their responsibility. They were not just exploring, they were defining humanity's role in the galaxy. From the Empire's distant position, the Terran ship's actions sent a clear message. Humans were unpredictable, powerful, and guided by purpose. They were a species that could change the course of history without firing a single shot. And the galaxy began to realize that humanity was no longer a minor player. It was a force of intelligence, courage, and foresight. The Terran vessel, small but unstoppable, remained in orbit, guarding the relic and preparing for what might come next. Its speed, its knowledge, and its purpose had revealed the truth. The humans were more than survivors. They were the next step in galactic evolution. The Empire, for all its might, had only one choice: to watch and learn, or to fall behind. And humanity's purpose was clear: to protect, to explore, and to rise. The stars stretched endlessly across the void, silent and eternal. Yet tension filled every corner of the Orion sector. The Terran ship had completed its mission of locating and securing the ancient relic. But the Empire was far from finished. Imperial fleets moved like dark shadows, attempting to block the humans' path. Every officer aboard their warships knew the risk. Humanity's speed and intelligence had already proven unmatched, and one misstep could lead to catastrophe. Aboard the Terran vessel, Captain Alara Voss watched the Imperial forces mass on her sensors. They were vast, a wall of metal and firepower, yet she remained calm. We expected this, she said quietly. Prepare the ship. Shields at full. Engines ready for maximum output. Her first officer, Kale Wren, leaned forward over the controls. They've positioned their entire fleet to intercept us. They believe they can contain us with numbers. Alara smiled faintly. Numbers are meaningless if they cannot match intelligence and speed. We will show them the difference. The Empire's admirals were growing impatient. Admiral Tavor, aboard the Relentless Dawn, studied the Terran vessel moving confidently toward the sector's center. He knew that a direct assault would be reckless, yet he could not allow the humans to reach the relic unchallenged. He turned to his officers. Prepare every ship. This will be a decisive moment. The Terrans must be stopped, or we will face consequences none of us can predict. The order spread quickly. Fighters swarmed into the void. Cruisers adjusted their positions, and destroyers activated long-range cannons. Every Imperial crew member felt the weight of the moment. History would remember this encounter one way or another. But even as the fleets maneuvered, the Terran ship moved with impossible precision. Its engines flared, bending light slightly around its hull. Imperial targeting systems failed to lock on. Every prediction the Empire made about the humans' movement proved wrong. They could anticipate speed, direction, and tactics, but humans were always a step ahead. One young pilot muttered over the comm, "It's like they can see us before we even move." Another voice responded, trembling, "We are chasing shadows." Admiral Tavor clenched his fists. He had trained for battles like this, yet he had never faced an enemy so unpredictable. And the humans were not reckless, they were controlled, precise, and confident. The Terran ship approached the planet where the relic rested. Its drones hovered, scanning and analyzing, while the ship itself remained a sentinel in orbit. The Empire attempted to engage, but each ship that fired was too slow. The human speed and intelligence allowed them to evade without struggle. Alara activated a special field around the vessel, a controlled gravity bubble that disrupted the path of approaching ships. Imperial fighters slowed, their engines straining against the invisible force. A destroyer tried to break through, only to find itself stuck in the field's pull, powerless to escape. "Pull back," Alara ordered. "Do not harm them. Let them see the difference." The human crew moved as one, calm and precise, demonstrating mastery over technology the Empire could barely comprehend. Across the Empire, panic turned to awe. Officers whispered among themselves, "They cannot be stopped. Not by us. Humanity. They are beyond us." High Command struggled to maintain control. Reports indicated that Terran ships had disabled multiple Imperial vessels without firing weapons directly. The lesson was clear. The humans were smarter, faster, and more resourceful than anything the Empire had encountered. Admiral Tavor realized the truth. Humanity had never relied on sheer power alone. They relied on ingenuity, teamwork, and understanding. One ship, one crew had outmatched an entire fleet. The climax drew near as the Terran ship reached the coordinates of the relic. Its drones hovered above the ancient structure, scanning every surface, analyzing every pulse of energy. The relic, a massive device left behind by a civilization older than the Empire itself, responded to the humans' presence. It hummed, glowed, and seemed almost aware. "Ilara," said Kael'ren, "the machine is responding to our input. It's acknowledging us." "Yes," she said quietly. "It recognizes intelligence, not force. That is why the Empire cannot touch it. They do not understand, but we do." The humans worked swiftly, mapping the energy flows, securing the relic, and activating protective systems. Every action was deliberate. They were not there to conquer. They were there to guard knowledge. The Empire, growing frustrated, attempted one final attack. Squadrons of fighters darted toward the Terran ship, aiming to disrupt its operation. Lasers fired, shields flared, and the void itself seemed to tremble with the clash of energy. But the Terran vessel was already prepared. Its engines flared, bending space around it, moving with such speed that Imperial targeting systems lagged hopelessly behind. It slipped between attacks, precise and untouchable. Then, with a burst of controlled energy, it activated the gravity field once more. The Imperial fighters were slowed, the destroyers immobilized, and the fleet's advance halted. Not a single human fired a weapon directly, yet the Empire was defeated in practice. Admiral Tavor watched the unfolding scene from the relentless dawn. The truth hit him hard. One human ship had outmaneuvered his entire task force. For centuries, the Empire had relied on power and fear. Yet here was a species that relied on creativity, intelligence, and courage. They are extraordinary," he whispered. "One ship, one crew. They have humbled us all." The reality sank into every officer's mind. The humans were no longer the underdog. They had stepped into a new role in the galaxy, a role that could not be ignored. The Terran crew completed their work on the relic. It now hummed with stabilized energy, protected by systems that the Empire could not breach. Drones returned to the ship and the vessel prepared to depart. Ilara addressed her crew. "Mission accomplished. The relic is secure. The Empire has learned our strength, but they have not suffered unnecessary loss. Humanity does not seek war, yet we are ready for it if needed. Remember this," the crew nodded. Every hand on the console knew they had changed history. As the Terran ship accelerated and vanished into the void with impossible speed, the Empire was left in stunned silence. Fleets drifted, damaged and humbled, realizing that sheer numbers and firepower were not enough. Humanity's ingenuity, foresight, and courage had turned the tables. Across the Orion sector, news spread quickly. For the first time, humans were no longer seen as a minor race. They were a force to be reckoned with, capable of reshaping the galaxy without firing a single shot. Admiral Tavor reflected on the encounter. The Empire had been forced to retreat, not through violence, but through respect and caution. Humanity had demonstrated what centuries of bold thinking and relentless curiosity could achieve. They had proven that intelligence, creativity, and unity could surpass even the mightiest fleets. He spoke quietly to his officers. "The age of humanity has begun, and we must adapt or be left behind." The Terran ship disappeared into the stars, leaving a message that resonated across the galaxy. Humans were no longer the timid newcomers. They were innovators, protectors, and pioneers. They were a species that solved the impossible, challenged the powerful, and rose to meet challenges that others feared. The Empire had been humbled, but it had learned an essential lesson. Power alone is not enough. Courage, intelligence, and vision define true strength, and humanity, small but unstoppable, had shown all of that, and more. The galaxy had seen the dawn of a new era, one where humans would lead, inspire, and shape the future. And the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath waiting for what humans would do next.